Do you pay people for their improvements? How do you encourage someone to want to make improvements?
Yeah, I'll start just because I've got the mic. We believe that our people make improvements because they feel it is intrinsically rewarding. They feel like driving the business, making the company better feels good. It's what they want to do. So no, we don't pay for ideas. We don't feel like we have to incent other than helping our people understand why we do what we do and helping them believe that they're really running their own business. I think that's the motivation they need.
I'm always amazed with our culture, first of all, because it's based on autonomy, where people can make a decision, where they can make a decision that impacts what they do every day. And that is a really awesome thing, because when you show up to work, it became part of our culture. All we talk about is, hey, how can we do things better? I mean, everybody is engaged because they understand why we do that. It's not improvement to make an improvement, but really to make our lives easier and our jobs easier.
So let's talk more about that for a minute. How do you change expectations or raise the bar with your people? Let's say that they're really comfortable where they're at. They've got great results. You're happy with the results, and then the business changes and you need to create a new production line. How do you go about that? How does that work?
Okay, I can start answering it then. There is so much excitement about this.
Okay.
Because I want to answer this because we are a recognition company. We recognize people for good work, and we start with our own people. When you have this autonomy that I mentioned, and where you unleash the potential and this freedom of people deciding, suggesting ideas, changing things around, there is this energy that is just there. And do people sometimes make mistakes? We all do. But knowing that this is the area where you are safe to make a mistake and learn from them, and do it all over again, it's really powerful. And that's what I think keeps people being engaged and continuing to do so.
Good answer. So 30 years ago, when we started our journey, people didn't have to worry about making a mistake because it wasn't possible for them to make it. Everything was the manager's problem. And the manager called all the shots, the manager told people how to do what they did, and if anything went wrong, the manager was to blame. The manager was the one who ultimately all the problems arose to. And when we first started talking with team members about owning their results, they couldn't even wrap their minds around that. They were like, what are you talking about? We don't own the results. I'm not responsible for quality. And I'm watching them do their job thinking, you're doing the job. Quality is yours. I'm not responsible for efficiency. I'm not responsible for delivery. I'm not responsible for cost. Man, you are. And getting them to the point where we had to get the managers to let go of that. And we had to get people to pick it up and say, okay, I can make a difference here. And I can have an impact in the company. And that took us a couple of years to totally turn that around, to get to the point where team members were like, okay, I do have an impact on quality, and I'm going to make quality better. I do have an impact on cost. I'm going to improve cost. And it did require the manager to have to start trusting people to make improvements. But all of a sudden, once you do that, the rate of change, the improvements, comes so much more rapidly. And things get better without the manager being in the middle of it. And that's the big outcome we were seeking. Now, in terms of, I think one of the biggest changes we made along the way, we used to be in departments. And when we put all the processes together in the first version of the mini factories that we have here in this pressed products area, we knew that we would need 16 people to run one of these teams. And we decided that we weren't going to pick the 16 highest skilled people, the job skilled people, but we were going to pick the people who were most collaborative and most creative and most energized and most fun to be around. And we had like 4 times as many people at that time as we have now, despite the fact that we're many times bigger now than we were then. But we got them all together in groups of 100. We told them, we're going to go to this 16-person cell. We're going to pick the best 16 people that we can find. This is what they're going to look like. And we described the people. And I can tell you, about half the people in that room, I could tell by their faces, were thinking, you can't be successful without the highest skilled people. You can't do it with collaboration, creativity, energy, fun to be around. They just didn't believe it. And then there's another half of the people in the room who I saw their eyes lit up. They were like, I want to be on that kind of team. I don't want to be on this team I've been on, these teams I've been on, these mean-spirited, controlling, you know, I don't want to do that. I want to work with a team where we can be energetically solving problems and go in after things. And we just basically raised the bar and said, this is what it's going to take to be on these future teams. And a bunch of people stepped up to it. And the fact is, it worked. Those teams were incredibly effective, and they have evolved into the teams we have today.
So many companies are coming in and they're listening to the description of 30 years, you know, here's where we are at this point. Yeah. And they're thinking, how do I get started? Where would be the place to start to get on that path, to go on that journey?
Our CEO will often talk about our company in terms of if-then rewards versus now-that rewards. Yeah. And the if-thens are, if you do this, then I'll give you this. And we kind of get this question of people who come in, like, how do I get people improving? Do you pay for improvements? How does that happen? And at times we've used if-then things to kind of boost or jumpstart us in a direction, but we try and pull that away quite quickly and move to a rewards and recognition model where we look for great behaviors, we look for accomplishment, and we thank people for that. We find a way to spotlight them. And that's core to our business. I think that's core to any culture. And so when I think we had a manager discussion with him the other day, and we were talking about changing the responsibilities of some of our team leaders. And he immediately, and he's a newer one, and he kind of went to, oh, but we got to pay him more if we're going to do that. And I said, look, no, we just have to define it. We have to work with them, collaborate with them, and they'll move towards it. And so there's this intuitive sense with anything we change to be like, oh, now I've got to pay more, or I've got to incentivize that behavior. Where if you'll work consistently on building a culture of recognition that values and focuses on the good that's in your workforce, the good that you're seeing, and driving change that way, that provides this foundation and base for all types of possibility.
We've been in hundreds of factories. We benchmark and we learn as much as we can. And I can always spot those people with shiny eyes, the people who have that passion that Gary talked about. So my suggestion is you move down this path or begin your journey is to find those people in your organization and to give them, to back them up, to give them some autonomy, to let them experiment, to be sure not to criticize when something doesn't work out, to make it safe, and to build from there. I think it's really, really hard to move an entire organization up at the same time, but you can create this microcosm of positive energy with these people, and other people will begin to join, and suddenly you'll have a few teams, and then you can build from there, and eventually you'll have so much momentum that just becomes the company culture. And that could take years. It could take some time, but in my experience, that's a good way to move. Just take some baby steps and start with one team or a couple teams, depending on how many people seem, and let people self-select. Let those people who want to join invite, and then see who wants to join, and then empower them and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think build on the energy, build on the positives. The people who want to get out there and make things happen, let them work together, let them make things happen. I spend too much time dealing with the negatives and with the people who maybe are dragging things down. There are some people who are never going to come around. And quite frankly, they no longer found a home at O.C.Tanner. They got to the point where they just couldn't be happy here. And as things started, the tide started to move against them to the point where everybody else was being productive and happy and engaged and creative and problem solving. They're like, I don't like going there anymore. They went somewhere else. They blessed another company in the valley with their negative presence. I think there are also a chunk of people, a big chunk of people, who are just waiting to understand what you're really doing and waiting to feel safe in doing it. And so I think for them, what they deserve from you is a chance to see things working and to feel safe in this new environment and to feel like I can move that way and it's going to be okay. They're just waiting for you to smooth it out for them. There's no point arguing with them. There's no point chastising them, criticizing them. Rather teach and encourage and persuade and put something better out there to aspire to.
Yeah.
Now, Nirvana was here throughout our whole transition mostly, so I don't know what you think about that.
Nirvana has been at the company for more than 20 years, and that question, can't wait to hear her answer in part 3.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more about the lean culture that's been going on here for so many years at O.C.Tanner, go ahead and like this video so that we can keep producing them.
And if you subscribe to this video, you'll be able to get the next video in the series automatically. So we'll see you then.
Hope to see ya. So we're gonna go you, me, you, me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Me, you, me.
Okay.